Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Alter Confusion interview. I'm Charlie, the editor of Alter Confusion. Today, we're here with Vincent Baker. So, Vincent, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, as you said, my name is Vincent Baker. I'm the founder of Vindicated Entertainment, which is my company that basically I love going to conventions and events. Have me there as an entertainer. Entertainer. That's not even the word. Entertainer that focuses on tabletop games. And with that, I like to design my own tabletop games. And so today we're talking about my tabletop card game, which is Spellslingers.
So tell us a little bit about Spellslingers.
Okay, so Spellslingers is a card game in which you assume the role as a wizard known as a Spellslinger. You cast powerful spells. It's a very quick, fast-paced game that still has strategy because I'm a huge strategy gamer. And with that, it's meant to be a game that you can play anywhere, anytime with anyone. The reason why I say that is because all you need is one deck of cards. You don't need tokens, dice, counters, mats. Just the one deck of cards to play with up to 10 people. You can play anytime because as long as you're playing between like 1 to 5 people, games only take a few minutes. And you can play with anyone because the game at its core level is simple enough to where I've had my little cousin who's 11 play to my grandparents who's in their 70s play. So this is a game that they're able to understand, but you know, anyone can understand how to play like Uno, for example, but to me, I don't get that fulfillment from playing Uno because it's just you playing, matching colors. I needed a game that kind of had that strategy element to more of like a hardcore gamer could appreciate. So it was a difficult balance, but that's what I tried to strike with Spellslingers, and I feel like I accomplished that well, and that's why it's resonated with so many people that's played it.
So you say that you could basically play with all you need is one deck. So how big is this deck?
All right, that's a good question. The Spellslingers deck at its core is 80 cards. It's 20 of each color. So there's 20 red cards, 20 yellow cards, 20 blue, 20 green. And with that, you just keep casting spells. And normally, by the time you go through the 80 cards, the game's over. Sometimes, if the game goes a little bit longer because you're kind of at this pivotal moment, sometimes it might be at that point, if the game's still going, it's normally a 1v1 situation. The game won't go much longer. And so with that, you just reshuffle up the discard pile, restart the deck over. But usually, like I've played hundreds of times. That's definitely happened a few times, but it's never a problem when it does happen. And it just, you just keep the game going, and it still goes by quickly.
So you said that there's different colors. So are there like specific attributes to each color?
Yeah, so each color plays thematically differently. So of course you have like blue, which is your arcane. So it has more of like you're drawing your cards, you're disrupting your opponents, you're redirecting their attacks. That's sort of like what adds to the strategy because you can go on the offensive with like your red cards, which is your rage magic. Rage magic is the most ferocious, it's the most hostile and aggressive. So you can just start attacking multiple times, but then you're going to start exhausting your resources and be left more defenseless. Whereas blue, you can start being more reactive. You can start negating your opponent's spells, and that's where strategy comes in because you have to determine when it's best to negate your opponent's spells or not. A player that that's not as experienced as a strategist can still look at the card and say this negates the card. So they might just negate any old card that you want. But when you're a strategy gamer, you gain that edge by figuring out when to act, like when you should actually use these special effects to negate these certain cards. So these choices that you make definitely give you an advantage in whether or not you can win the game, but aren't essential to playing the game.
Gotcha. So what about the other two colors?
All right, yeah. So green is the color that has a lot of AOE, is what I like to say, because it attacks all other players. They also have things like rock armor and stuff to keep themselves very defensive. So I think green is meant to be the most balanced of all the colors. It has a little bit of offense and defense that keeps it the most well-rounded. And then yellow has a lot of these special effects, and they have a lot of political aspects to where you can make any number of players draw one card, or you can attack any number of players. And so you can start forming these like pseudo alliances if you're playing multiplayer games. If you're not playing multiplayer games, the offensive spells still work the same. You can still just attack your opponent, so you're not missing out on that end of the spectrum. But they give access to those kind of things. They also allow you to pick up cards from the discard pile, put them back to your hand. So yeah, so yellow actually is probably my favorite color because it has the most unique cards. It's also about like attacking the people that attack you.
Mhm.
So it's reactive in that sense. But basically, it kind of punishes the people that are trying to get ahead of you. It has things that punish people with the most cards in their hand. So if you have someone just trying to sit back and get all these cards built up in their hands, so they're the most powerful, yellow would actually be the one to take them out the easiest.
Gotcha. So you said that you can have quite a few people playing. So with just those 4 colors, how does that work when you get above 4?
Yeah, so actually the game it's pretty interesting in the sense that since you're playing with one deck,
Mhm.
all the colors are actually mixed between everyone.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like everyone's going to be playing a mixture of all the colors.
Mhm.
But you can get into some interesting scenarios, like if you have like multiple decks of these cards, you can actually, because I love drafting, like I love drafting in card games.
Mhm.
Basically, you set up like packs of cards, or you can just take the decks and then set aside like 10 cards, 10 cards, 10 cards. Then you look at your pack, you pick one, pass it, and then you can start forming your own deck. And it becomes very interesting because the colors matter a lot.
Right.
But you can start going for like color-centric strategies, or you can go to try to be more well-rounded and diverse in the colors that you choose.
Cool. Okay, so how long has Spellslingers been basically in development?
It's been since 2015 in the fall.
Mhm.
So I guess that's what, a year and a half, almost 2 years.
So have you had to go through like different iterations, or were you able to basically set that core and just build on it?
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. So to my surprise, well, Spellslingers came. It was developed from the sense of Otherworlds, which is my tabletop role playing game.
Mhm.
I think is a great game, but it has the drawback that most tabletop role playing games do, or any tabletop role playing game does, and it's the fact that you have to set it up, you have to spend hours playing it to fully delve into the system of that tabletop role playing game. So I wanted to make a game that complemented that, and that's where I found Spellslingers because I need a game that's very quick, very fast. That way, I could prove, like what type of ideas I have and what my game design abilities are for people that didn't have hours to spend. So I was like, I need to make the quickest game possible that's still fun to play for someone that's really into tabletop games.
Mhm.
And so it took me definitely a few weeks to get the right idea because I was messing with weird ideas like a card game based on like digging up graves for some reason and finding treasure. I
All
don't know
right.
why that was the thing. I have one based on zombies where like you're revealing the top cards and trying to kill zombies.
Mhm.
So it actually took me longer to find the theme of the game, which was Spellslingers. But once I actually thought of the idea of Spellslingers and slinging these spells back and forth,
Mhm.
I laid it out in an Excel document, and then I started just making demo cards on index cards,
Mhm.
and I found the game played really well just right off the bat. And the game actually has gone through the game itself has actually gone through like hardly any iterations this entire time. What's been changed mostly is some of the wordings on the cards to make sure that they're easier to understand.
Mhm.
But even those haven't been that big of a change. The game as a whole has been pretty much the same since it was in 2015.
Awesome. So through this process starting in 2015, what has been the biggest hurdle that you've had to overcome?
Let's see. The biggest hurdle I've had to overcome with Spellslingers. I think it's always those like unforeseen hurdles. It's always those things where it's like, you create like I've created for Spellslingers in particular, I downloaded a document that's supposed to be the correct size, like a template for the size of the cards, and I
Mhm.
spent hours putting together all these cards and designing all the cards, only to find out that document size wasn't the correct size to print out the demo copy. So I had to redo everything. And I think that the biggest hurdle has just been doing the things that catch you off guard, the things that you have no way of predicting.
Mhm.
And it's kind of hard with me going back because I'm always thinking about the future because currently we're on Kickstarter. I'm thinking about what we're going to do next. So it's kind of hard for me to remember exactly what type of struggles I've been through because I try not to focus on that. I just try to focus on the struggles I'm currently facing or what's ahead, and just doing the best with what I have now and just keep going forward for like an awesome future.
So you said that you have your tabletop RPG, and then of course you have Spellslingers. So I'm assuming that you've been basically trying to develop them at the same time. So is it really difficult to try to juggle the two?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like see, Otherworlds is kind of like my baby. I've had it around since 2010,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I went to college. I kind of put it on the back burner for a while and stuff, so it didn't have much development until the recent years. Um, but yeah, Spellslingers. I it's honestly it's been ready this whole time pretty much. I've been putting a lot into Otherworlds,
Mm-hmm.
but then I just looked at things and was like, hey, I can just go ahead and get Spellslingers out into the public because it's ready, it's been ready, it needs its time to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can just come back to Otherworlds and finish up on the things there. But with that, I'm pretty much on a hiatus on developing Otherworlds until I get everything sorted out with the Kickstarter and with Spellslingers and making sure like that Spellslingers is my current priority
Mm-hmm.
until all of that is situated, until all of that's developed, and until we get that out there to the backers and everyone that needs it. And then once everything's settled with that, I will then resume back with Otherworlds, and then I'll probably come back with Spellslingers with some nice expansions and stuff.
So, as a creator, do you have any advice for individuals who are thinking about creating a tabletop or a card based game or just trying to create a project that other people are going to see and interact with?
Okay, yeah. So for one, to any creator out there, I would want them to ask themselves, is this something that they want to work on to be developed for the world, like something that actually goes out into the world, or is this something that they just want to develop and then play with their friends? Because if this is something that they just want to make and play with their friends, that will still take time and commitment, but that'll be a lot easier because you're not set to what everyone else's pressures are of like, you have to deliver this to me and do this for me and this is what I expect. I mean, it's all for your own personal satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just use index cards so you don't have to worry about people saying, oh, this graphic design looks ugly, blah blah. Because that's what I used to do before I started with Otherworlds and Spellslingers is just make my games out of index cards. And then whenever I'd have like a birthday party or something, my friends and I would play it, and it'd be a whole lot of fun. So with that, yeah, just get to it if that's what you want to do. If you want to get your games out into the world, I would say be aware that you're going to have to prioritize your time. You're going to have to leverage your time because it takes a whole lot of time. I spend about 20 to 30 hours on this a week, and I've been doing this for the past 4 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't consider myself very successful yet. I mean, you guys can, I mean, whoever's watching this can judge and check out my Otherworlds website, otherworldsrpg.com. You can check out my Spellslingers Kickstarter and judge my levels of success. But I think that's like what, like 4,000 to 6,000 hours, just like off the top of my head. That's a lot of time to put in these projects. And so if you're looking to do what I'm doing or do something similar with creating your own tabletop games, I definitely make sure that it's not something that just sounds fun, but it's something that actually gets you fueled and excited. And the reason why I'm able to do this is because it's the only thing that makes me feel alive. It's the only thing that makes me feel like I'm being 100% who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And if that wasn't the case for me, I think I would have given up on this a long time ago. So that's my number one, my number one thing. And real quick, I guess number two is I would schedule things. I would make lists of what you need to do. And I personally, I have daily goals and I have weekly goals and I have monthly goals, and I just sit there and I try to complete them, and it keeps you somewhat organized. I'm a very chaotic and very impulsive person, so I'm not very organized by nature. But setting goals increases your productivity by 30% is what studies said from what I saw, and I can believe it. It's helped me out a whole lot. And I would even, and what I've been trying to do lately, which has been even harder, is trying to do the most difficult, most biggest goals first. Because normally, whenever you have a list of to-do things or to-do list, you want to do the easiest things first, because that takes the least amount of mental energy. But what you're gonna find out is you're gonna have the hardest, challenging thing up on your list for weeks, and it's going to really stress you out. And so what I've been trying to do is trying to get the most stressful thing out first, and it's also the biggest thing, so it's going to help you out the most. And then once you get that done, you can then do the little stuff. Of course, if you have something that's small but it has to be done that day, then yeah, go ahead and do that. But I definitely try to knock out the bigger things as quickly as possible.
So we've kind of already gone into this, but I'm assuming that your future plans are basically, get this game out the door, go back over to Other Worlds, and then hopefully once you get that solidified, then you're going to maybe mess around with expansions for Spellslingers. Is there any other projects that you might have, or are you basically set on those two?
Yeah, so I'm mostly set on those two, though I do have some really awesome ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of those things that's difficult because like with Spellslingers, for example, I didn't have any idea how fun it could be with these expansions and stuff until I started playtesting with these expansions, and I have 3 expansions out for the stretch goals that I hope I make because the once you add in the expansions, it does kind of transfer more from like a party game with like your family, one that you can play with your grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of takes that aspect a little bit away, but it makes it into something more where like if you bring it into a local game store and you play with people that are familiar with games, it becomes an experience that they get even more excited about because they like Spellslingers at its base game, but I found that when you add the treasures and you had the Spellslinger cards, it kind of changes the way the game's played as a whole, and it adds another level of strategy. So I'm really excited to add that into the game. Other Worlds was meant to basically be my place that I can just constantly add stuff to. So anyone that becomes a part of Other Worlds will definitely see the rewards from that of just constantly getting content from it.
Mm-hmm.
I do have another game that's been in my head for a while, and I've kind of given the concept to a few people. I think I'm gonna keep this one under wraps for now until I see like what more when I want to pursue it and stuff. I'm thinking it might be it it almost has to be next year at the earliest,
Mm-hmm.
if 2 years from now. But I think it's actually an idea that I have not seen done before. I've looked into it, I've done research. I haven't seen it done before. Unfortunately, it could be done in the next 2 years. That's very possible. But I think it takes a unique concept, and I think it will surprise a lot of people. But definitely, I've noticed a lot of people that like Spellslingers like Other Worlds and vice versa. So if you're into one, I suggest people check out the other.
Cool. So, where can people find out more information about you and your games?
All right. So the best place to find out information is on for Other Worlds. It's on the Other Worlds website, which is www.otherworldsrpg.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's Other Worlds with an S. And then for Spellslingers, it's the Facebook page, which it's facebook.com/Spellslingers. And yeah, those are the 2 best places I'd say. I mean, I'm also on Twitter with Other Worlds at Other Worlds RPG. Or you can follow my personal Twitter where I will be updating with both, which is at the Vindicated.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to talk about Spellslingers and a little bit of Other Worlds. Best of luck in all your future endeavors, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I really appreciate. Yeah, I had a good time, and I look forward to us talking some more in the future.
Awesome.